Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today I have a super exciting video. Well, to me it's exciting at least because I'm talking all about technique. Today I'm going to share with you the 3 most common application methods for foundation. So what we're doing is we're talking about applying your foundation with a brush, a sponge, and with your fingers. And I'm really going to break down each method and when it's best to use that method and how it affects the way your foundation looks. So before we get started, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Hello, my name is Lisa and I am a former makeup artist and I spent some time as a MAC cosmetics trainer in another lifetime. So I say that because I have a passion for teaching makeup and I love to teach it in easy, tangible, like practical tips and tricks. So if you're into that and you like those types of videos, be sure and subscribe before you leave. All right, let's get started. Okay, so let's start first with the way you see me apply my foundation in pretty much all of my videos, and that is with a brush. My personal favorite brush is the BK Beauty 106 brush. If you're new to my channel, disclaimer, BK Beauty is my brand. I'm the founder of BK Beauty, so I'm a little biased. But you know, this is not going to be a video focused on which specific product you need, but more of why I like this style of brush, so you can look at your collection, see if you have something similar to it, and why it works so well. So what I love about using a premium, and I'm talking about a premium synthetic fiber foundation brush, is that it is not going to absorb your cream and liquid products, okay? Natural hair tends to be more porous, so it will absorb more cream or liquid products. So I'm not talking about powder products, I'm talking about cream or liquid. You wanna find a very luxe synthetic fiber brush. You also wanna find something, depending on the application of how you like it, full or light coverage, that's gonna determine how you want your brush head to be shaped and how dense you want your fibers. Now, what I love about this 106 brush is it is a pretty nice size round kabuki brush. It's not too large, but it's not too small either. It allows it to have some density here at the base, but it has super, super soft fibers here at the tip. So the reason that that is so great is because you can get full coverage from a foundation, but you can also shear and blend it out to get something much more natural and light. Now let's talk about what type of products work best for brushes. Another reason I love to use a foundation brush is because I think it's the most versatile of the 3, and I'm talking about a sponge in your fingers. It's more versatile. You can pretty much use this with like all types of products. There is one product that I feel really works best with your fingers, but if you're talking about a sheer serum liquid foundation, a brush is gonna blend it out beautifully. If you're talking about a full coverage, thicker liquid foundation, a brush is gonna blend it out beautifully. If you're talking about a middle of the road consistency, not too thick, not too thin, a brush is gonna work great. It also works great for stick formulas or like cream compact formulas or cushion formula foundation. I really find that the brush works best because 1, it's not gonna absorb that product and you can build it. And the best way to build coverage is going to be by using the pressing method. So when you watch my videos, you will see that I typically apply the foundation on the back of my hand here. I'll dip my brush into the product. I will go straight to the face, and I always start in the center of the face because that is where I personally, and I think most, not everybody, but most of us has the most need for coverage in the center of our face. That is where the sun hits our face and we tend to get, you know, sunspots. We tend to have redness around the nose. We tend to have most of our blemishes in the center of our face. So I like to start there and I like to press the brush. By pressing, you're allowing the product to build and get the most coverage because these hairs are super soft and like very soft and fluffy at the tip. If you use light pressure, it's not only gonna give you coverage, but it's also gonna blend out the edges. So that's where I always start. Also, a little tip, the first place you put your brush is where you deposit the most product. Kind of makes sense, right? But really think about it. If you go from your hand to here, you're gonna get most of that product here on your jawline. Now, if you tend to have a lot of redness or acne or, you know, melasma here and there's a need to cover, that's great. That's where you want it. But if you want the most here and then you wanna blend out, always start here. So I will press. Then as I get to the perimeter of my face, you will see me work in little circular motions. Sometimes I'll work in little circular motions. Sometimes I'll work in big sweeping motions. What I'm doing there is I am blending the edges out of that foundation. So I am getting that foundation to look seamless with my skin. So you're not gonna see that harsh foundation line on your jaw. So I personally love a brush because, again, it is so versatile to apply and it doesn't absorb your product. So it works great with pretty much all formulas. The one formula that I would not recommend using a brush for is going to be like your tinted moisturizers or your very like skincare product foundation hybrids. So I'm talking like BB creams, maybe CC creams, tinted moisturizers, any product that has a skincare like hybrid where you put it on and it feels like moisturizer. Like if you were to close your eyes and put it on, it'll feel like a moisturizer, not like makeup, but maybe it has pigment, so it is a makeup. That works best with your fingertips. I kind of treat those types of products just like I do with my moisturizers in the morning. So I will use my finger to apply those products. The reason your finger doesn't necessarily work really great with like a thicker cream or stick foundation or a thicker liquid is because you can't really work it into the skin like you can with a brush or a sponge. I'll get to the sponge next, but the brush has all of these like, you know, little tiny fibers that are going to work blending that product into your skin, making it look like one. You don't really have that ability with your fingertips. Now, your fingertips work great with concealer. Anytime you want to just gently pat, use your ring finger to pat the concealer in. The pad of your ring finger is going to warm up that product and it's going to help you just blend it in and still get full coverage. I also like to use my fingers sometimes for cream blush because, again, you can just apply that cream product. So that's when I like to use my fingertips, is for like tinted SPFs, BB creams, CC creams, and then sometimes the concealer or the blush. Although I still find myself using a brush for those, your fingertips will work for that. Now let's talk about a sponge and when it's best to use a sponge and how the sponge affects the way your makeup looks. So when you are talking about a beauty sponge, and I have the BK Beauty sponge here, this one is damp. It is so important, and I think this is a well-known fact, but I know some of us are starting to just get into makeup and might not know this, but when you purchase a beauty sponge, be sure you don't use it dry, okay? You want to soak this under running water. I turn my sink on and I put it right underneath there and I squeeze it a good 4 or 5 times so that it is completely soaked with water. Turn off the sink and then squeeze all the excess water out of it so there's no water dripping from this, but it is still damp. The sponge should about double in size, if not more. You will notice that the sponge is much larger than it was dry. That's when it is ready to use with your cream or your liquid products. Now, a sponge is going to absorb a lot of your product. Keep that in mind, okay? Anytime you use this, you're gonna absorb a lot of the makeup. Now, that might sound like, well, why on earth would I use that? I don't wanna absorb my makeup. But in some cases you might, okay? So if you're using a very thick liquid, like a liquid that you pump out on the skin, I believe this one is kind of a thick formula. It's not too thick. Okay, maybe this wasn't the best example to show you with, but a liquid that you basically pump out and you lift your hand up and it doesn't even move because it's so thick in formula. That is a great product to use with a sponge. And the way that I would apply that is I would take my fingertip and then I would go and spread the product around my face, little dots on my face. Then I would take the sponge and I would use it to blend it into the skin. So again, it's going to absorb some of that product, which is going to prevent you from applying too much. It's also going to prevent it from looking heavy or cakey like a thick formula like that can look. So a sponge works great for thicker, full coverage formulas. It also works great for concealer because if you think about it, that's exactly what a concealer is. It is a highly pigmented, highly coveraged product, liquid or cream product. So a sponge will work great for concealer. A sponge also works really great to correct any mistakes. So if you apply your foundation and let's say you just put way too much, if you're one of those people like I can tend to be where I pump it out on my hand, I go and apply it and maybe I have enough, but there's still some on my hand and I don't want it to go to waste, especially if it's La Mer, then I will, apply it with a brush and then I'll look in the mirror and I'll say, why did I do that? Now my makeup just looks too heavy. Take your damp sponge and just press it onto the areas of the face where it looks too heavy and voila, it works beautifully like magic. and it makes the skin look more natural. You can also use this for cream blush, especially if you have a very highly pigmented blush and you put it on, it's like clown face all of a sudden. Use the sponge. What I love about our BK Beauty sponge is the way that it's shaped. You can use this kind of flatter side to, you know, get all over the face real quickly and absorb. You can use this contoured curve to get like right in here around the nose or right on the jawline. It fits like perfectly right there. And then you can use the tip of it to blend out concealer right in that corner. So that's how I like to use a sponge. So remember, a sponge is gonna work best with, you know, your full coverage, thicker products. If you use this with something very sheer and light, you are gonna use way too much product because you're gonna put it on, you're gonna blend it out with a sponge, and you're gonna look in the mirror and think, oh, I don't have any coverage, where did it go? It's all in here. So you're gonna find yourself adding more and more and more, and before you know it, you have the same coverage that you could have gotten with a brush, but you've used 2 or 3 times the amount of product. So those are little tips on how I work with my fingers, I work with a sponge, or I work with a foundation brush. I hope you found this video helpful. If you learned anything from this video, please let me know in the comment section below. I secretly get a little natural high off of reading your comments when you share with me something that you learned from my videos. Again, it's my passion, and that's what keeps me going and keeps me fueled here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!